Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Welcome to the next episode in our series on the processum. And today, inshallah, we'll start with how the processum was with the disbelievers. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Quran how he was and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded him to be. And so the first ayah is from Surah Tawbah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses the processum and says, Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu jahidil kuffar wal munafiqina wa aghluz alayhim wa ma'wahum jahannamu wa bi'sal masir. O Prophet, fight against the disbelievers and the hypocrites and be harsh upon them. And their refuge is hell and wretched is the destination. And so we see the complete opposite of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was commanding the processum to be kind and gentle and merciful with the believers. So it's completely opposite, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling him to fight against them and be harsh against them. And then the next ayah from Surah Anfal, Ya ayyuhan nabiyyu harridil mu'minina ala al-qital. And so again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, O Prophet, urge the believers to battle. إِن يَكُن مِّنكُمْ عِشْرُونَ صَابِرُونَ يَغْلِبُوا مِئَتَيْنِ وَإِن يَكُن مِّنكُم مِّئَةٌ يَغْلِبُوا أَلْفًا مِّنَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا بِأَنَّهُمْ قَوْمٌ لَا يَفْقَهُونَ. If there are among you 20 who are steadfast, they will overcome 200. And if there are among you 100 who are steadfast, they will overcome 1,000 of those who have disbelieved, because they are people who do not understand. And then in the next ayah from Surah Ahzab, وَلَا تُطِيعِ الْكَافِرِينَ وَالْمُنَافِقِينَ وَدَعْ أَذَاهُمْ وَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ وَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ وَكِيلًا. And do not obey the disbelievers and the hypocrites and disregard their annoyance, and rely upon Allah. And sufficient is Allah as disposer of affairs. And then similarly in Surah Furqan, فَلَا تُطِيعِ الْكَافِرِينَ وَجَاهِدْهُمْ بِهِ جِهَادًا كَبِيرًا. So do not obey the disbelievers and strive against them with it a great striving. And then similarly, we see in Surah Kafirun, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, tells the Prophet to say, قُلْ يَا أَيُّهَا الْكَافِرُونَ لَا أَعْبُدُ مَا تَعْبُدُونَ وَلَا أَنْتُمْ عَابِدُونَ مَا أَعْبُدُ وَلَا أَنَا عَابِدٌ مَا عَبَدتُّمْ وَلَا أَنْتُمْ عَابِدُونَ مَا أَعْبُدُ لَكُمْ دِينُكُمْ وَلِيَ دِينِ. Say, Ya ayyuhal kafirun, O you who have disbelieved, I do not worship that which you worship, and you do not worship that which I worship, and I will not worship that which you worship, and you will not worship that which I worship. And so to you is your deen, and to me is my deen. And so the next section is about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the consequences of disobeying and opposing the process. And we see many ayat in the Quran referencing this. So the first one is from Surah Nisa, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ يَعْصِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ وَيَتَعَدَّ حُدُودَهُ يُدْخِلْهُ نَارًا خَالِدًا فِيهَا وَلَهُ عَذَابٌ مُهِينٌ. And whoever disobeys Allah and His Messenger and transgresses His limits, He will put him into the fire to abide eternally therein, and he will have a humiliating punishment. And then similarly, Allah says again a little bit later in Surah Nisa, يَوْمَئِذٍ يَوَدُّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا وَعَصَوُا الرَّسُولَ لَوْ تُسَوَّى بِهِمُ الْأَرْضُ وَلَا يَكْتُمُونَ اللَّهَ حَدِيثًا. That day, those who disbelieved and disobeyed the Messenger will wish they could be covered by the earth, and they will not conceal from Allah a single statement. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Jinn, إِلَّا بَلَاغًا مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَرِسَالَاتِهِ وَمَنْ يَعْصِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ فَإِنَّ لَهُ نَارَ جَهَنَّمَ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا أَبَدًا. And so Allah says, and whoever disobeys Allah and His Messenger, then indeed for him is the fire of hell. They will abide therein forever. And so we see the consequence of disobeying the Prophet. And then in Surah Muhammad, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا وَصَدُّوا عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَشَاقُوا الرَّسُولَ مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الْهُدَى لَنْ يَضُرُّوا اللَّهَ شَيْئًا وَسَيُحْبِطُ أَعْمَالَهُم. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says how those who oppose the process, that Allah will make their deeds be worthless. Indeed, those who disbelieve and averted people from the path of Allah and oppose the Messenger after guidance had become clear to them, never will they harm Allah at all, and He will render worthless their deeds. And in Surah Mujadila, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يُحَادُونَ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ كُبِتُوا كَمَا كُبِتَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ وَقَدْ أَنزَلْنَا آيَاتٍ بَيِّنَاتٍ وَلِلْكَافِرِينَ عَذَابٌ مُهِينٌ. Indeed, those who oppose Allah and His Messenger are abased as those before them were abased. And we have certainly sent down verses of clear evidence, and for the disbelievers is a humiliating punishment. And then again in Surah Nisa, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَمَنْ يُشَاقِقِ الرَّسُولَ مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الْهُدَى وَيَتَّبِعْ غَيْرَ سَبِيلِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ نُوَلِّهِ مَا تَوَلَّى وَنُصْلِيهِ جَهَنَّمَ وَسَاءَتْ مَصِيرًا. And whoever opposes the messenger after guidance has become clear to him and follows other than the way of the believers, we will give him what he has taken and drive him into hell, and evil it is as a destination. And then again in Surah Anfal, ذلك بأنهم شاقوا الله ورسوله ومن يشاقق الله ورسوله فإن الله شديد العقاب. That is because they opposed Allah and His Messenger, and whoever opposes Allah and His Messenger, indeed Allah is severe in penalty. And then we see in Surah Ahzab, إن الذين يؤذون الله ورسوله لعنهم الله في الدنيا والآخرة وأعد لهم عذاب مهينا. Indeed, those who, so the translation is abuse, but then can be even something like more minor, like just annoying. And so Allah and His Messenger, Allah has cursed them in this world and the hereafter, and prepared for them a humiliating punishment. And the last one from Surah Tawbah, ألم يعلموا أنه من يحادد الله ورسوله فأن له نار جهنم خالدا فيها ذلك الخزي العظيم. Do they not know that whoever opposes Allah and His Messenger, that for him is the fire of hell, wherein he will abide eternally? That is the great disgrace. And so we see the grave consequences of disobeying and opposing the Prophet. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.